Welcome to Plans Are Booked, a podcast for every reader. I'm Molly Geller.
I'm Stephanie Blackburn.
And we are a duo today, and it is your birthday month.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Cancer season, everyone. I love celebrating you, and I will take any opportunity I can to do so. We've already had a few early celebrations, but a little birdie told me perhaps something landed at your doorstep today.
Oh my God, I can't get over this. Like, I wasn't going to have a cocktail tonight, but now I feel like I have to.
Okay, listeners, Stephanie is holding up two gorgeous barware glasses, which
Tumblers,
which in the bottom, it's the shape of the Teton Mountain Range in Wyoming.
I'm obsessed.
That is the most thoughtful gift.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking gorgeous.
Yeah. Porch cocktails.
Can't even wait to be holding that and sipping out of that next to you. Tell me what is going on.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a story, and I gotta think about how to this is gonna get so in the weeds.
I like in the weeds.
Okay. For those who are maybe new to the podcast, I work at a bookstore, and as someone who writes romance books, the dream is to have a meet cute at a bookstore, is it not?
It is.
So I have a coworker, Derek, and we are constantly figuring out ways to be wing people to each other while we're at work. If I see a girl, then I'm gonna be like, oh, he could help you, instead of helping the person myself. But I've been telling him that he needs to read more romance, and he's like, absolutely not. So I've been saying okay, just watch an episode of Off Campus just to get the gist, so that way you could start chatting with a young woman. And
good advice.
Unfortunately, the first clip that got served to him on Instagram is the mutual masturbation clip, where he was like, why would I want to watch this? And I was like, okay, that's not the first thing you should have seen, but trust me, I'm it's hockey. And just to give a little insight on Derek, he is, we discovered this at work one day. I can yell a number from 0 to 99, and he can tell me every player on the Bruins in the history of the Bruins who wore that jersey number. So that's the level of Bruins fan he is. Also, his father has season tickets. So
are we doing a PSA for anyone who wants to date Derek? Because that's what it feels like.
No, but it could be. No, so I've been trying to sell him on Off Campus, which is The Deal, L. Kennedy's books, The Deal, The Score, etc. And he saw recently the Bruins and Off Campus did a joint couple of clips. One included Belmont Camelli, who plays Garrett Graham, was FaceTiming with an old Bruins player, Daniel Paille. And when I showed Derek, because the whole clip is because there's a poster of Daniel Paille in the background, and he's like, why would an up-and-coming Bruins player ever have a poster of Daniel Paille on their wall? And I was like, what? And he was like, that'd be like if you had a poster of Sean Corrali on your wall. And I was like, I would have a poster of Sean Corrali on my wall because he's handsome and his dog's adorable, which was not the point that Derek was trying to make. He thought the consistency of you'd have Pasternak. You wouldn't have someone who, justice for Sean Corrali, is maybe a B player. So that was strike number one. He was like, no, I'm not interested. And then the other day we got in 5 copies of, I believe it's called The Legacy, which is the 5th book in the Off Campus series. It's a novella, and it's after everyone's gotten out of college. And I showed him the cover to be like, if a young woman comes here looking for this is what you need to hand them. He looks at the cover and he goes, oh, do they play for the Wild? And I go, no, they play for the Bruins. And he's like, why is there a Minnesota Wild jersey on the front cover? And he was like, absolutely not, strike number 2. So
boy.
I don't know how to get him into romance so that he can flirt with a young woman who's looking for a romance book, because yeah.
I have to say, I feel like the Off Campus series is the right recommendation by you.
I think so too.
I think it's such a pop culture moment right now that it wouldn't be weird that a straight man would read one of the books to see what the hype is about
Or watch the show.
or watch the show. Totally.
Mhm.
And if I were like a single gal walking into the bookstore and he helped me find my romance book of choice, I would be
Mhm.
very smitten by that.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Derek, don't resist. This is important.
Oh, what's going on with you?
Well, listeners, my parents are living with me for the summer. They have arrived as we are recording this. This is day 4. My parents live in North Carolina and they are up here for the next 7 to 8 weeks. They actually do not have a return ticket. I try not to let that give me an anxiety attack on a daily basis. But they are here, and we actually had a really wonderful first couple of days, including for those who live in Massachusetts or maybe hanging out on the South Shore or the Cape this summer. We went on our first night, all of us here together, to this restaurant in Hull called the Corner Stop. And I just have to shout out a special that they're doing right now. They have flatbread pizzas all the time, but they're doing one right now that is vodka sauce. Like, you already had me. I don't even care what comes after that. Vodka sauce, mozzarella cheese, grilled corn,
Ooh.
and then thinly sliced fresh jalapeno. It was
Oh.
spectacular. Like the best of a pasta, the best of a nacho served as a pizza. Sublime. My mom and I have already frequented many small businesses, as we do, bookstores, the farmer's market. We've been all over the land. And I also want to shout out the ladies who are on the Pucker Up lemonade truck, who are parked usually at the Hingham Farmers Market on Saturdays. They serve giant lemonades out of plastic deli cups. So you can feel like you're a chef. You can have your like the bear moment drinking out of a giant plastic deli cup. I had raspberry lemonade this week. Delicious. I also want to talk about a page to screen adaptation that I wound up binging over the last 2 nights. I'm guessing you have already
5-star?
watched this. No.
Oh.
So when my parents are here, the only thing we can all agree to watch together is more like actiony or thriller mystery.
I was thinking like in your room once they'd gone to bed, you were binging something, but
Not yet.
no. Okay.
So we started I Will Find You, which is based on the book by Harlan Coben.
Oh yeah, I binged that like a week ago.
Okay, excellent. So you will also have reactions.
So good.
I have not read any of those books, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I thought this is an 8-episode show. We were hooked like in the first 20 minutes, and we kept pausing to like share our theories and say what we thought was going to happen. And there are a lot of really handsome men in this show. Sam Worthington, Milo Ventimiglia, Jonathan Tucker. Shout out Jonathan Tucker from Charlestown, Massachusetts.
Every time he's on, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be Boston.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I felt like if you want that feeling of just like you're on the edge of your seat, you have to know. I've never hit play next so fast. Like you have to know what's going to happen. We stayed up last night until 12:30 a.m. to finish it. Yeah.
Like neither of your parents fell asleep
No.
on the couch?
No. Everybody was like awake and gripped. So if you like that genre and you miss Milo Ventimiglia on your screen.
If you like Harlan Coben, he has another show. It's called Shelter, I believe.
Okay.
I can't tell you what streaming it is. It came out years ago.
Okay.
I think Caitlin and I both binged it and chatted about it.
Also, am I correct that that is the co-author with Reese Witherspoon, or did I make that up?
Oh, it's a blue cover.
Right?
I think that's Harlan Coben.
I don't know, but I think so. Like when the name kept coming up on the screen each beginning of each episode.
So many books.
I was trying to think who to compare him to. I was saying to my mom, he's one of those writers who has like a book a year, it feels like.
Like a Patterson.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Totally.
Also, I think Amy also binged that show and before me. And I think she said Harlan's father is from a North Shore town.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong about that, but that's what she said.
Okay. Well, I highly recommend it. and I am going to start the 5-star weekend.
It's so good.
I that is the first and only book I've read by Ellen Hildebrand.
Oh, I
So
haven't.
I liked it a lot. I felt like it was just like a quintessential perfect summer read.
Hmm.
And from people who have already watched the show, I have only heard positive things.
I think I mean, I didn't read the book, so I've got nothing like baseline to compare it to, but I love every one of those actors on
Yes.
their own. And also, I haven't seen Timothy Oliphant in something
Oh
recently, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, I missed him. So yes, A plus work.
I
Not
feel
just him, everyone.
also, I feel like I hate to even bring it up again, but I feel like we're still recovering from the shame that was the Every Summer After adaptation. So each time we watch something that's good, it's like, oh, yes, it
Hmm.
can be done. Like
Hmm.
it is possible,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of summer reading, um, we're talking about a very summertime book today. I'm going to hold it up. This is Crash Into Me by Robin Lee. And I will let you tell the listeners like what our journey has been to get this in our
Sure.
hands.
So we were introduced to Robin Lee through The Idea of You. I don't know, 3 years ago at this point. Gosh, that book. I still like.
Honestly, I would say when people ask me like what's a good romance book for me to try if I've never done it before.
But it's not romance. It's not considered romance because it doesn't have a happy ending.
Oh,
It's shelved in fiction because romance books, which I would argue, I think romance books we should have like a new subcategory where they don't have to have a perfectly happy ending,
yeah.
because the spice in that book is A plus work and the plot is so drama filled and fantastic and fun, but it doesn't necessarily have a quote unquote happy ending. And because of that, it's
Right.
not considered romance, which,
When people use the word compulsive to describe a book,
mm,
that's how I feel about The Idea of You. You could
mhm.
not put that thing down.
I've
It
read it
was
twice.
right. It was
That
like,
doesn't happen.
no. It's a reread, it's a rewatch. It's a she nailed it. And also,
Hmm.
what was so interesting to me about The Idea of You is Robin Lee is an actress in addition to being a writer. She's been in the Hollywood circles. She has a ton of famous friends. I think the accuracy she brought to the idea of these parties and the travel and the paparazzi, it felt so real because she
Hmm.
has lived that experience.
Hmm. I will say though, obviously the film hardly ever lives up to the book,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of things that for me felt a little too far from the original work. Do I still watch it? Yes, I do. Because it's
Has
Anne
that
Hathaway.
stopped us? It has not.
No. And Nick Galitzine. I mean, come on. Um, and then she took a couple years off. I mean, granted, she could have been writing tons of things in that time, but this is only her second book to come out. And it came across I always want to say kitchen table, the break room table at the bookstore. And
Your
I grabbed
kitchen
it.
away from your kitchen?
Grabbed it immediately because, most of my coworkers want the fantasy books, not the quote unquote like romance contemporary fiction arcs. And I got this back in the wintertime, and I don't know why I didn't just jump on it immediately, but it sat in my TBR with so many other arcs. And it wasn't until a couple weeks ago that I finally was like, oh, shoot, it's about to be published. I need to actually read this. It is, I would say, a very different feel for me from The Idea of You. It is about a woman who has been married for 20 years and is, very settled in her relationship and her life. And her husband has recently cheated, and they are not ending things. They're trying to work through it. And he is a director, and he's been tasked with doing an adaptation for a trilogy, which will take years, plural. And in an attempt for him not to cheat again, he asks her and the kids to come with him to LA. And she says yes. So they uproot their family from France to LA, which is a very different feel culturally, monetarily, societally, in every way. And they kind of plant themselves in the valley in this like treehouse type house. And suddenly they're going to, like wealthy parties, and their kids are now in a private school and have to endure shooter drills in case, someone comes
Yeah,
into the
active
school.
shooter drills. Yeah.
When they first moved there, she almost gets into a car accident with a woman who she then realizes she knows from the past, from her 20s. She is now a well-known photographer, but back then she was aspiring to be a photographer, and she was working as an assistant on this project in Cabo, and this woman was one of the models on this week-long shoot. And it is alluded to that something bad happened on this shoot, and we learn about it through flashbacks alternating past and present. And there's also a bit of sexual chemistry between the two of them that
More than a
wasn't.
bit.
And they reconnect and sort of build a relationship while she's still married to her husband. And yeah, that's what I'll start off by saying.
I was really excited to read this because I was obsessed with the idea of you, and I found Robin Lee's writing so sharp.
That's exactly the word I was thinking.
I think to call someone's writing sharp is a big compliment. It's hard to pull that off, both talking about, as you mentioned, all of the sort of haves and have-nots, the societal pressures, all of the racism issues that she and her family deal with. And she's also so funny, so clever. There's just an element of her writing where it's kind of like you get slapped in the face all of a sudden. In fact, I want to read you one of those moments. So this woman that Steph mentioned, who she reconnects with, her name's Anouk. And at one point, Anouk is sharing with Cecilia about someone who she used to be in love with and the way she sort of took matters into her own hands. So she says, "He was mine. I was 17. He destroyed me. I thought the best way to get revenge was to become a big bottle so he'd have to see my face everywhere, a reminder of what he gave up, and that eventually he would come crawling back. He did, but then I didn't want him." She finished her cupcake, then crumpled her napkin. Dismissing him was delicious. That is like quintessential Robin Lee. And this was interesting to me for a lot of reasons. This feels like a phase of life that Robin Lee likes to write about. Women in their 40s who are mothers, who are in long-standing relationships or trying to find themselves post a long-standing relationship, and what that looks like. So in The Idea of You, Solène is divorced. In this, Cecilia is married but is drifting from her husband for obvious reasons. Also, just a quick aside, Cecilia and her husband Francois speak to each other mostly in French. In real life, Robin Lee speaks French and lives in Paris.
And is married to a Frenchman.
I don't speak French. So a lot of this, I had to guess by context clues what that dialogue was or the tone that they were taking with each other. And if I had to just give like one baby petite criticism, that was really hard because I felt like I was missing things. And
same.
I've shared on here a few times, I studied Spanish in college. It's probably the strongest language that I have besides English. And when I read things in Spanish, I feel like I get it in full. I don't have to wonder. I'm not guessing. This, I was bummed a little bit because I felt like I didn't really know what was going on at certain points. And there are expressions that I'm sure are used casually or formally or when you're trying to be mean to someone. And I just didn't have that information in a way that sort of bugged me. But I love this other little sort of like biting scene where all of a sudden and unexpectedly, Cecilia is in Anouk's house and stumbles upon her teenage son. And the son says, "Are you my mother's new obsessive friend?" His words are unsettling. It's always someone. She pulls them in and bewitches them and becomes the center of their world. And when she gets bored, she lets them go. I was like, okay, Robin Lee. Okay. It's just, she has this way of just quickly like jabbing you as the reader, where you're like, oh, like that stings. Are you kidding me? And then I also love this line. Later on, Anouk is giving Cecilia advice about how to behave when she finds herself at this movie premiere in the same room as her husband and the person who her husband cheated with. And she says, how old is she? 27. 27 isn't sexy. 27 is a toddler who can't run without falling down. Life doesn't get exciting until 36. You know what I mean? It's just like that. It does feel like a slap to the face, but in a great way, where you're fully immersed, you're following along with the story, and she just jabs with something so unbelievable. I think when I hate to compare the two books, but I'm going to. The Idea of You had undeniable magnetism, chemistry, like addiction to each other. This felt like both of these were women that needed an escape from their real lives. They found that in each other. And I believe there was real attraction there. But as soon as it started to get messy or too complicated, or somebody was too involved, gave it too much weight, whatever the case may be, it fell apart. And it fell apart in a way where they both crashed, intentional word choice, because they were like gripping to each other for dear life. And once they let go, they got like ricocheted back into their everyday lives. So in a way, Crash Into Me, for me as a reader, felt less escapism and more real life. This is what it's like. And I think because of that, we were used to her as an author who painted a real fantasy dreamland of what like a hot and heavy romance could be. And for me, Crash Into Me was not that.
I have two things I want to say. One, if it takes her 3 to 4 years to write another book, I'm fine with it, because I would rather the quality or caliber of what she has put out now, as opposed to like putting out something half-assed every year. I'm happy to sit and wait.
Yeah.
However long for the next book. The other thing I want to say is I think The Idea of You came to us at the right time. We were approaching 40, which Solène is, right? Or she's 39, and then she has her birthday during the book. And I think that was the first time, you know, every fantasy book that I've read, the female protagonist is like 18 to 25 max. And I feel like a lot of the romance books we read, the female protagonist is somewhere between college age and like at most 36. And that's like pushing it usually. And I think, granted, The Idea of You technically is not a romance, but I think reading that at the age we were and realizing that like, oh, this is a romance about like our age. We haven't been forgotten by all the authors. I think it like hit like much deeper than, I mean, if I had read that in my 20s, I would have been like, meh. Like,
oh, we were picturing ourselves, is what you're saying.
Yes, 1,000%. But also, it was like giving me permission to like remember that like romance exists in your 40s. You know, which maybe is the reason that the book I'm writing right now, she's in her 40s, because I think there need to be more romance books where the protagonist is over 35, because we exist in real life and we still want romance.
Yes. Also, I think you know this because you get all the book news before I do, but an author we both really love, Julie Murphy, has a new book that has a protagonist who's over 40. I think it's called Vera Stein is Feeling Fine. I think I'm getting that right. And she released some really steamy fan art yesterday. I almost dropped my phone. I was like, thank God I am not in a public place right now. So I can't wait to read that, because all of the stuff she has been saying when she's talking to the camera on Instagram, or what she's put in her captions, is exactly what you just said. She was like, life after 40 doesn't mean you're done, or you can't have romance, or you can't have 5 spicy peppers, all the things. And even though, remember in Sex and the City, Carrie turns 40 and Samantha says, welcome to my box, 40 to 45. It's like, It's so weird to check that age box now on
Mm-hmm.
forums or like customer surveys or whatever. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think there's such a huge audience of women in their 40s who want those kinds of really passionate, fiery romance books. And we will spend money to get them. So,
Yep.
authors, publishers, agents, we're here. We're ready to open our wallets. Like, let's go. I wonder if Crash Into Me will be adapted
Mm.
because I do think she's well connected in the Hollywood LA world. And obviously, the first one was a huge success in the eyes of the streaming numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be curious. Also, I said this to Steph when we were together in person a couple of days ago. There is a line in here where Cecilia, the character, shares that the first time she ever slept with her husband, he put on Dave Matthews Band Crash Into Me. And even
Can
though
you
perhaps,
imagine?
no, I cannot. Although it is in Ladybird also.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Men.
Men. I don't know if that's the sole meaning behind the title. I think it's more that what I was saying about the crash out back into your regular life, but it
Well,
was just
and
interesting.
the actual crash that happens at the beginning where she almost kills her.
Fair point. The literal crash at the beginning. It has lots of meanings, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you are a fan of Robin Lee's first book and you like that kind of biting, sharp writing, the humor, I do recommend this. And go into it knowing it is not the idea of you. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a copy and paste of that feeling, you're not going to get it. You are going to get the great writing and the great now and then storytelling, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's important for people to know.
Well, I also think, people fall in love with a debut novel and expect the same level of obsession that they have when the second book comes out. And that could be the case, but that's not always the case. And you have to sort of, especially if it's not like a series, if they're unrelated standalones, you kind of have to be like, okay, this is a completely different story, and
Right.
I'm maybe not going to be as obsessed, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the writing is fantastic, and not everyone's Hayes Campbell.
Right. 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 I do think we've had this experience a lot with a second book
Mm-hmm.
from an author, a debut author that we loved. I think it's common that the second one
Mm-hmm.
is a different type of story or that the author wants to stretch creatively in another direction. And you're right that it's not
Mm-hmm.
fair for us to be like, just give us more of the same razzle dazzle. It's like, if you have something that's, meant to pour out of you, then that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what happens with this one. But I'm really happy for Robin Lee. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so cool that she went from an on screen actress to having this next act in her 40s. I think that's amazing. And in the acknowledgments, which regular Plans Our Book listeners know is where I live, she talks about how much the Idea of You movie press tour was like a whole second arc
Mm-hmm.
of what happened with the book. And she had already felt so lucky to do the book tour traditionally. And then once the adaptation came out, she got another bite at the apple to talk about her work and share about the inspiration for the story. And she really thanked her team for helping her do it twice, basically,
Mm-hmm.
while also writing this new book. So I love hearing that behind the scenes stuff and understanding what was really going on while we all, I'm sure, assumed she was just, typing away at the laptop on the second manuscript when she actually was juggling stuff from the first book that was just ongoing way longer than I'm sure she ever anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
You know? What are you reading now?
I'm reading two books. I'm trying to get through The Dog Stars by Peter Heller, which is an old book. It's not new. Because the film adaptation comes out, I believe, in August, starring Jacob Elordi. And obviously, the book is always better, so I want to read the book first.
So
It
that we can go to the
is.
movies and say how the book was better.
I mean, you're not wrong. It is about. It's sort of. Well, first of all, it's very thin.
Mm.
It's not a thick book. It is about sort of like a post-apocalyptic world in which quite a lot of the population has died via a flu, and the main character is now living in an abandoned airplane hangar with his dog, who survived. His wife did not survive, and he lives with this like curmudgeony old man who doesn't live in the hangar. He lives like a mile away from it, up in his tower, and he is the one who shoots any person that comes into their established territory. And they still have some gas, so he flies the plane around to sort of see, you know, if there's anyone coming in towards them who might attack them. And occasionally he goes to visit this other town nearby where people are kind of living on their own, and sometimes he'll deliver them some stuff. It's very bleak. And also, because he survived this flu, it somehow affected the brain. So the sentence structure is not typical sentence structure.
Oh,
Sometimes
interesting.
words are not the words it's supposed to be. It's almost like his brain isn't working, so his thoughts are jumbled. And they're like short and choppy. It's very interesting reading something so different. But every once in a while, I'm like, I just need to pause because this just feels a little bit bleak. So the other book that I'm reading right now is the first book in the Windy City series by Liz Tomforty, and it is called Mile High. And my coworker Paige, it is like one of her top 5 favorite books of all time. She's been begging me to read it for like over a year. So it came into receiving a couple days ago, and I was like, well, I guess I better buy this book. And also because that too is going to be adapted. So I figure I might as well get ahead of it. And that is a romance book in which the main character is 26 and she is a flight attendant, and she is on, for this coming year, the fictional Chicago NHL team, because it's not the Blackhawks. I think they're called the Raptors or something. She's on their flight crew.
Don't tell Derek.
So anytime they are flying somewhere for games, that's the plane that she's working on. And one of the like star players is a bit of a asshole, and he is always pushing the call button just to like get under her skin because he knows how much it pisses her off. And obviously they immediately have sexual chemistry, even though they kind of hate each other.
From the way you just said that, I thought you were going to say, obviously, they immediately had sex in the airplane.
It's got great banter, and I know that this is a series where like it's like spin-off, whatever we have termed for like siblings and other players within the teams. So maybe I'll read all of them. Maybe I'll stop after this one just to say that I did it. But I am really enjoying it and looking forward to reading more of it. And it's a thick one, so it'll be a little while.
I have
But
seen
yeah.
a lot of Bookstagram gals recommending that series, especially to people who loved Off Campus. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that when you're done, or get my own copy if Paige is not loaning her favorites.
No, I purchased this one. So
Beautiful. I am also in the sports romance world. I just finished Full Throttle by J.K. McLaren. Listeners, if you've been listening every week, you know that I'm having an F1 romance summer. I started with Crash Test by Amy James, which Steph gave me as a gift, and I devoured and loved. Then I read Pole Position by Rebecca Caffrey, and now this is my third F1 romance of summer 2026. But what's cool about Full Throttle is that it's the story of the first female F1 driver, fictionalized. Her name's Juliet, and she is in a training academy in which a really established driver who comes from a legacy racing family becomes her instructor. And surprise, they fall in love. And then they wind up on rival teams and then eventually on the same team. I won't say more than that, but I will say this. You do not need to know anything about F1 to enjoy this book. The sexual tension is unbelievable. I read it in 2 sittings because I had to know what was going to happen. And even though it's a romance book and I knew there would be a happy ending, I wasn't sure how we were going to get there. There were a lot of miscommunications, a lot of icing each other out. It really kept me believing like, oh, wait, maybe they're not going to figure this out. The other thing I want to say is if you read this book and you wind up loving it, there is an actual female F1 driver, Susie Wolf, who just came out with a memoir about her experience called Driven. If you're interested in that universe and what it's like to be the quite literal only woman on a team, in a locker room, especially in a sport as high powered and highly funded as F1, you should absolutely pick up her book. I listened to her on several podcasts during her press tour over the last couple of weeks, and I was massively impressed. So,
does that mean that you've already been following her?
yes, because let's just get more into Molly's fandom and freakdom. Susie Wolf is married to Toto Wolff, who is the team principal for the Mercedes F1 team.
The fact that you were saying any of this is hysterical.
So I already knew her because she's been featured many times on the Netflix series Drive to Survive. She is also, in real life, the leader of the F1 Academy, which has a specific emphasis on young women in racing. So they provide scholarships, they provide introductions to sponsors, and of course, training so that more women can enter the sport. And I just admire her so much. And I think the fact that a lot of people could have said, oh, well, she's married to a team principal, so like that's why she's getting all these opportunities. When you listen to her share her story, she was already obsessed with this before she ever met Toto. And he has been interviewed about her and says, no matter what I have done to try to sabotage her car, anytime we've raced against each other, it doesn't matter. I secretly put weights in her car, or I remove her like neck pillow. It doesn't matter. Whatever I do, she will still beat me under any circumstance. So she's a badass real life woman who lived in this world. So if you like the fictional version and you want more, Driven by Susie Wolf, it just came out a few weeks ago. And this book, actually, Full Throttle, comes out August 18th. So you are going to be in a pre-order mode for a couple more weeks, but it will be out there. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. And I would love
how many peppers?
Say again?
How many peppers?
Oh, I'd say 4 out of 5.
Okay. Better than 2. It takes a while
to get there, but once you do, it happens. So anyway, I loved it. And I was really grateful that we were sent an early copy. So I feel lucky when we get the chance to see things before they hit the pub day for real. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to share with our listeners before we wrap it up for the week?
Thank you to anyone who has bought and reviewed my book. I so appreciate that. Like truly, I'm flabbergasted anytime someone I don't know reaches out to me and says that they loved Golden Hour, because I just, I'm in like my own insular world. And so the fact that like it's out there and people can find it and enjoy it still kind of confuses me.
And please, if you did read Golden Hour and you loved it, continue leaving reviews on Goodreads and Amazon. It really helps people find the book. And if you find it in an indie bookstore, please tag Steph. She's author Steph Blackburn on Instagram. It's so cool to see where people are finding the book, like without us knowing. So if that happens to you, please share. And you can also always DM Plans Are Booked. We always love hearing from you. If you're not already following us on Instagram, please join us at Plans Are Booked. That's where we share all of the book titles we mention every episode, plus endless reels and memes about all things bookish. If you liked what you heard today, we would be honored if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also now watch all of our episodes in full on YouTube. That's youtube.com/plansarebbooked. And if you want to write to us, we are plansarebbooked@gmail.com. We'd be thrilled to hear anything you'd like for us to know.
And also don't judge me as my hair changes and my bangs get crazy if you're watching this. I have no control over my hair. And until next time, our plans are booked.